was super, super windy. And so I have the door open so maybe you can hear how windy it is. Windy, or when it gets really windy, or even when thunder and lightning, those kinds of storms, it give me such PTSD. Man, those southern storms, those, like when the tornadoes would come, like in Texas, or I'm in Kansas. There was, because when I left Kansas, I was young. I was 6 or 7. Um, I think I was I think I did some kindergarten in Kansas because I remember walking to school, and I was just like 5 years old. Yeah, because I graduated when I was 17. Like I was young when I started school. So when when we would go, because my mom had other babies, and so she would just, here, go walk with those kids across the street. And I can remember walking so many times, just walking by myself. Sometimes you'd walk with the group of kids. Like I can remember walking with a group of kids home, because when the school I was at, it was in Lenexa, Kansas, and it was so, so small of a place. It had, I swear to God, the road was dirt, and it had a corner, like pharmacy kind of little store. But those stores back then, you could go in and it had all sorts of stuff, and you could go to the counter and have ice cream or candy or something. It seems like there was a ice cream thing, but I don't know. I could be getting that mixed up with other movies or something that I've seen. I'm just gonna leave that off. Like this constant thing of asking if you're still watching. You put on meditation stuff, especially if you put on one that's supposed to be 8 or 12 hours, and then it'll just ask you in the middle of the night, are you still watching? It will switch to commercials. It will just switch to it. It's ridiculous. I mean, somebody's got to do better. I mean, there probably is some sort of app that has some that play these binaural beats. Probably this YouTube is just because it's cheap. I don't know, maybe it would do better if I paid for the not having the commercials, but that just irritates me. We have to pay to not have commercials. It should be the other way around. If we want commercials, if we don't want to go shop and we'd rather just look through the commercials, like I don't believe commercials to begin with. They're just going to say whatever they want to say to sell you something. It's like, and then they just sit and sell you shit all day. It's irritating as fuck. But I don't think we should have to pay. Here, you don't want to be irritated by the commercials. In that, and so I just go past them. But, I'm not going to sit and have a fit. Oh, another motherfucking commercial, and get up and start pounding holes in the walls. I mean, I know I could go and pay to not have them, but I don't know if it would solve it or not with our video paused. Continue watching. Well, I was asleep, so why, I guess so. I don't know. It just is irritating. There's so many things that are irritating to me, though, in this reality that are just, I don't know, just stuff like that. It should be, you put something on that says it's going to play for 8 or 12 hours. It should just play for 8 or 12 hours with no interruption. I don't understand it. Is that the TV? Is it the algorithm? Is it YouTube? Is it like, I don't fucking know who is asking you and stuff. I couldn't believe it because it was already, I think it had to be after 3 because it wasn't that much longer before Stella started crying, and then I got up at 4. But all of a sudden it went and it changed to some other complete different music. When your mind is meditate, like it's on that tone or whatever, it that is because I've always used a fan to sleep. I've always had white noise. And when your mind goes in, like it's like it attaches to it or something. It goes into a rhythm. And to me, if it's too quiet, my brain is listening to every noise. And it's like picking up, I swear to God, I can hear a neighbor shut their door loud. So it is like I have to have a background sound So then, but your brain, and this is what I thought was cool when I was putting on those binaural beats and stuff like that, was because I could feel my mind, and I could feel other sensations in my body and stuff, and reacting, but I could feel how it was like, I don't know, massaging my mind to where it was just like going into like a deep state of relaxation or something. And so then if somebody comes in and just pulls the plug real quick, it's disruptive as fuck, man. And that is where I kind of feel like it's done on purpose, just because I feel like this is what this place is about, is to just constantly disrupt us. And I mean, I think it proves it. I think it's proven. I don't think I'm doing a big far stretch of saying that. I think, this place is set up for us to be frustrated and, suffer because they make money off of it. They enjoy it. Like, I don't even know what all they get from it. They obviously get something. It consumes all of their energy is just to try and control us. And one thing that is kind of cool is Congress or whatever, or the House just passed it that they think, yeah, that's a good idea for the stuff that Guantanamo didn't get placed to be televised. I think that's a good idea. They're not saying what they're about to televise, but they're saying, yeah, we think that we should have that televised. So it's going to be intense when they start doing those trials and stuff. That's where, I don't know. Like, even when I see people sharing videos all the time, with all this information and stuff, it just is so much the same stuff. And I don't go and listen to all of the videos. It's like, man, I already know that. I already know that. And even if you don't know every single little detail of every single little thing, that you still know like the overall. And it is kind of like some souls need to know every little detail and every little thing. And so that is their process. But that doesn't mean we all have to process the same way. And so I don't think I'm going to sit and watch those, all those things that are going to go on. I think it's going to be super intense too. I don't know. I think seeing one would just be like, oh, but whatever. It's going to be whatever different people need to process. And there's going to be so much anger and stuff, so much where people feel tricked. That's it. That's the thing is, what was it? Like, I've been being shown so many things. To me, it feels kind of like, I don't know, like I just go more into the world that I know is the real world, and this is the illusion world. But it just seems like I just keep going more into the other one or something. I think it is. I don't know. Something that I'm sure it has something to do with the awakening and your consciousness. And the more, I swear to God, it's just the more you realize you're not real, the more you realize you're not real. It's just, I don't know how else to explain it. It's just weird. I don't even know how to explain some of the things that are happening to me. But it's like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. Maybe it'll just somehow come out in some ways. It just feels like I'm moving a Barbie around or something. Like it feels like the weirdest thing is like when I go in to go pee, and I'll feel like I'll feel like, oh, okay, I gotta go pee, and then I'll go in to go pee, and it's like I just open something, like it just opens, and then water just starts coming out, and it'll just keep coming and coming. It's like, I don't know how to explain it, because it used to be a different kind of process when I would go pee. I would go and sit. There was like something more mechanical about, stopping and going or something. And then this doesn't seem like And then also when you would pee, you would kind of like push down, like you're kind of emptying your bladder. So you would kind of push down. Something like that. Like this is the kind of stuff where it's like, this makes you feel kind of crazy. Not talking to the other beings around us and stuff. It's this weird stuff happening to my body. It's kind of like, okay, well, God, this won't make sense unless you understand what I'm saying, which, I speak so strange. I always feel like, okay, I don't think that somebody's going to understand what I'm saying, even though it could sound a certain way. You think, oh, yeah, I get that. But it's like some of the stuff I'm saying, it's like I'm not saying it the way I know it comes out across. But I kind of like, I don't know, I feel disconnected kind of from the avatar part of me. Like I can, like I said, it's like moving it around or something. And, like when I was talking about like driving and how I say, like, I know it's like filler. It's like we don't have to do that. Just like how in a dream, like when we're dreaming, how we can just be someplace and then we're just someplace else. We can look over here and then we're all of a sudden over there. And those kinds of things. That is real. Like, but in the game, like how in a game, how there's the spaces in between the action, the movement. And so a lot of stuff in our life is that filler. It is those movements, those spaces in between each scenario, each experience. And so we fill them in. They fill them in with the like. When you want to go on vacation, okay, well, you got to travel. You got to travel there. You gotta do this. You gotta do that. And so then we're like, oh, okay, we gotta travel. That's how we gotta get. Okay, we're going to go on vacation. We're going to travel there. So how are we going to get, we start planning it and we start creating it and creating this thing that we want to do. But it's in the parameters of what they tell us. And that is what I'm saying is like, I know there's certain things that we don't have to do, but we do them because we think we have to do them. And so then we think that's a part of doing something when it's, I know in my heart, this isn't like a lot of this stuff that I say is just, I just know. It's just like, I just know. I don't know how to explain it. It is just, it's in my inner knowing. And so, but it's part of the game. But see, we're shifting out of the game. And so our awareness of these things, I don't know where it's all going to go. Like, I don't know how this is all going to play out. But I see like these awarenesses shifting and like going in and going pee. And then I'll just be sitting there and sitting there and sitting there and being like, how in the hell could my bladder possibly hold this much pee? Like, and why didn't I feel like I was about to pee my pants if I had to pee this much? It's like there's some disconnect between it. And it is almost like, is it like my vessel is just overrun with fluid and it's just emptying it out for a second? And it's like, I don't know, because we're not even real. We're all like, I don't know. This is so, it's just weird. But it's other things too. It's like just going around. I just feel weird. It isn't like I'm floating, but it feels like that, like I'm floating. It feels like I'm floating kind of, and then I'm also in communication with this other side that isn't in this space. And so it's even more disconnects. So I feel like I'm going around, like going out to walk still or something. It's like I'm floating around. I'm going over here. I'm going over there. And in the whole time while she's doing her thing, I just keep going into these deep thought things, which I think people think of it as meditation or something. Like, and something will pull me out of it or whatever. And then plus, because I've been alone for so much, is how easy it just is. Like you just like if it's quiet for a second, I feel like I'm just gone. Like I feel like I'm constantly not in this. I don't know how to explain, because it's like I'm here, like my being is here, but my consciousness is like kind of like being in a state of dreaming all the time. Only you're awake, but you're dreaming. Like, see, it just sounds weird. This is the part where it starts being like so hard to explain that it just starts making you feel crazy because you don't even know, like, but everything is more and more, as I've been saying this, as this has been going, it just becomes more and more like a dream, like you're lucid dreaming. And so it is more and more of understanding your control of the dream. And so even to the point of understanding that those are empty spaces that are filled in by someone else to tell you how to travel or something. Like, okay, last night, I still being a bitch ass about the food again. Swear to God, I can feed her something and she'll just devour it. Like, oh my God, it's the best thing I ever had. But if I feed it to her again, like later that day or the next day, oh my God, how dare you? This is disgusting. And then we got to go through this whole thing. It's not like I've got a smorgasbord of meat products here, you know. And so I made this whole fucking ass chicken yesterday because she was like on her third day of not eating. And so she was having a fit because it was taking so long to cook. I can get some off, make her some. She just eats it up. Then she sits right under me whining like she wants more. I kept saying, it's got to cook the rest. As soon as it cooks, I'll make you a big bowl of it. And so it finished. She's been laying there a half hour or whatever. And she kind of dozed off or whatever. And then I would say dozed off and then say or whatever, because I swear to God, she could lay like she's asleep. And I could shift in the chair and she's like completely like, what's going on around here? It's like, dude, I'm just moving. So then it was disgusting. It's disgusting. Ugh. Now I've got this whole ass chicken. I've got this other chicken that was cooked while we were there. And then it was grilled chicken breast. And then I have some that I made before I went that was, I think it was the other big baked chicken. And I mixed it with some stuff. And then I took it to go when we went. She wouldn't eat any of that. And so I still have that. And then this whole big old chicken. Yeah, it's like, oh, man. And one thing too that I do, and this is to me, I didn't even finish that story. Okay, so this is what I do. I just skip around because, so I am in there doing the chicken. I'm pulling all of the stuff off, and a fly or two have gotten into the house, and it's like, well, it wants that chicken. It's dive bombing in there, and it's just like, oh God, these fucking flies. And this one's super aggressive. Like, it is so trippy because it's rarely do I get a fly in the house. And they really show their personality when they get in here. And they have different personalities. And they really show what they're made of. Some of them come in and just full ass panic. Just panic. Just start doing the bzzz sound and just start hitting into everything. Like, how the fuck do I get out of this place? Most of them will go to the big windows and they'll keep trying to get out. But some of them will go crazy, bashing their heads in, trying to get out the window. And others will just very calmly just go around. You know, okay, there's got to be an exit. You know, they'll just do, and it's all in between in the spectrum. But this one was one of those that was like a bitch-ass, aggressive psychopath. And so it is buzzing and going crazy. It was pretty significant in size. And so I start trying to use my mind. I'm putting up barriers so that this fly can't come up and disrupt me. So I'm going inside of myself. So I'm sitting there pulling chicken off, and I'm going inside of myself. Stella, please stop. And I'm imagining my energy coming out and getting bigger and blocking more. So I'm coming out of my body and making bigger energy so it can't come up and keep like trying to dive bomb me or whatever. It seemed to just make it more matter. And I decided I've got to just keep practicing this. But that's the kind of weird stuff I do is, sit there and focus on that. And I know that we can do that stuff. I know it's not totally wacky, but when you're doing it, you feel totally wacky. There's another one too is, this morning, stop. This morning I was in there getting ready, So I put on some mascara, color my eyebrows, put in some of that hair powder stuff. And so I'm just doing this regular routine stuff that I do. And so a lot of times I'll notice, and especially like it's been killing me, like the past couple nights, she's had such a fit if I don't sleep on the couch. It's like, oh, my shoulders are so uncomfortable. It's so hard. I go lay on my bed and I feel like this is all marshmallow or something. Out here, it feels like I'm trying to lay on. It's just so stiff. And so anyways, I was laying on the thing. My shoulders were sore. So I was in the bathroom getting ready and, and I feel like, and then plus if it's cold in the morning, but anyways, I'll feel like I'm slumping my shoulders in. And that is something, especially being a tall person, because it was constantly, the whole time I was growing up, that I would go up, like all the kids would be talking or whatever. You go up to the crowd, all the kids are down here, you're up here, and you're like you're constantly doing this all the time. And so it kind of like from the time you're young, you're training your shoulders to see, so you can get down low with everybody else. And so now I feel like my shoulders do that a lot naturally. So I'm standing in the bathroom in there, and plus they're just so sore. And so I was like, okay, so pull back the shoulder. And I'm going to do this stuff all the time. And it is the same kind of thing. And I'll tell you another one that I had just heard too. So anyways, I do this stuff all the time. And so I'll stand up straight. So pull myself up, like pull myself. And I'll think of things like I'm going erect. And so I will pull myself erect. And then I'll pull and I'll imagine my head is being pulled by the heavens, but I'm always talking to them anyways. And so it's always like I'm pulling up to them and then into the ground, and I'll feel like I'll pull my feet as deep down to the core. And so I have these two poles as far as I can imagine them to be, that are pulling me straight, kind of like a puppet or whatever. And so, I'll do some of the stuff with my eyes closed and do it all in envisioning in my head. And, but it's not like envisioning in your head, because it's not like you're picturing it. It is because you are picturing it kind of like you're in it and you're picturing it happening. And so pulling it, and then I'll pull and I'll imagine my spine, and I'll go up from my tailbone. And so I'll go up from my tailbone. And it's funny too, because I even kind of envision it as kind of like this animal part of us or something. And so I will pull from that and pull like I'm pulling, and pull up, and then straighten and pull up as high as I can to pull. And it's like when I'll notice something like that, it is like a reminder. And so that's why I say I'll do it all the time, because if I notice myself doing something like that, then I'll just pull in. And that is where it's like, I don't know, like, I saw this woman, she was saying that, I might have already told this story, because she was saying she hadn't worked in a really long time. And so she had started working, and I think she said it had been like 5 years. And so she said she started working in this office building, and it was a bunch of people. And so she went downstairs, I think she was outside smoking a cigarette or something. So funny. And so she, so she she goes outside and she's sitting there smoking a cigarette or whatever, and she has her coffee, and some other people come outside to stand, and they're all chatting, because they know each other already, and she's new. And so she says something like, oh, good morning. They look over at her, and she does a big fart. She said she was so humiliated, and she said, she just walks, she just leaves. And she said that she just had totally forgotten. She was so used to just being by herself and just, her thing, just farting and stuff. Because she was so used to not being around people that it was just, she didn't even think about it. And she just farted. And she's like, just when you think about like, the people and the new lady who's over there wants to make sure, hey, get this. So anyways, it's just so funny because it is all by perception, and the things that we get humiliated about, they really are funny. But so she was hiding out when she was doing the video to explain this humiliation and how she even going to stay working now. But that is what we have to see. Like, even if you go around all day and you got food stuck in your tooth, or you got a booger hanging out or something, we all have had those things. That is why we know the humiliation of it. And we all have to just be more kind to one another and go, hey, you got something in your tooth, or whatever. And if somebody, forgets they're standing with a crowd and rips a big one, just be like, oh, guess you forgot we were here. Or some people, that's cool with them. They don't, that's how it all, I think it depends on, how you were brought up and what feels right to you. Some people got no problem sitting around farting in a big room of people. And then other people, would rather do it privately and not be blamed for the horrible smell in the room. So anyways, everybody's got their own thing about it. But, one of the other, the thing, of pulling your body up, and remember to be talking to it all the time. So this is one I saw this morning, and this is a girl, she's very, very pretty. She has beautiful, she reminds me of my granddaughter, only older, because she just has the same kind of face, like these perfect, big, plump lips, this perfect nose, this big blue eye, like they look like a filter already. And this girl, though, this morning, the video I had seen, she didn't have makeup on. Usually she's got makeup on, like big red lips, and she's got like white hair, like she bleaches the shit out of it. And so she's got this very distinct look because she wears like really dark, not dark eyeshadow, but maybe she wears lashes or something, because it seems like there's a lot of darkness around her eye with this white hair and these red lips. But she has like a distinct look, but she's pretty. But her features remind me of my granddaughter. So every time I see her, I always think about that. And today she didn't have any makeup on. And she was talking about, people always ask her about her skin. And she was... she went up close and stuff and showed, that she didn't have any fine lines. I don't know how old she is. I would say probably, I don't know, late 30s, But she said, people already are getting Botox at 25, 30 years old. And she said, even because all of her friends get Botox and stuff. And she even went with a friend recently and to go get hers. And she asked the woman if there was anything that woman would do to her face. And she said, no, there was nothing. Because she just doesn't have any lines or anything. And so she said that people ask her all the time, what do you do to your skin? What do you do? And she goes, I don't use like regular products all the time. I don't go and get like, oh, every time you use this or whatever. But she said that what she does every single morning is go in and do her stuff, but she talks to her face. and she tells it how beautiful it is, how the beautiful collagen, and how plump, and how much that she loves it and stuff like that. And she said, I feel certain that that is what it is just the talking. She said, you got to remember your skin isn't you, and your skin is separate from you, and you go in and you got to talk to it. You talk to all those cells and build them up, and remind them that they've got collagen and stuff. And so it's working for her, and I know that the stuff about talking to your body is real. And I know, like, even and I know, like, cancer and disease is your body trying to tell you that there's something wrong. And that is one of the big problems, is when your body starts speaking to you and people run to the doctor and get on a prescription. And this is what's strange too. And everything is by perception. Like, I'm being shown this so much, so often. But recently, it will be like something will be going on, and you'll show me multiple perspectives. Not just one thing. It's not like I can just see it from one way. I've got to see like multiple every time. It's like, and so, and I don't know if that just, will start happening for everybody. Like, but it makes it very hard to be judgmental or see something in a certain way when you have to see it, every single thing, in like 10 different ways in 1 second. But so the thing that I thought is interesting about this one thing was, the ex that I just saw, the kid's dad, and so it's the older kid's stepdad and the younger girl's real dad. But so he raised the older girls. And even the one granddaughter that I was just talking about, she was saying when she was little, she thought that was their dad. She didn't even ever know. He always acted like that. I mean, there's a lot of stepdads who will blow off the kids and stuff. He goes, he spends money on, he does all sorts of stuff. He's a good dad, I think. I mean, he's got his issues just like we all do. He's a perfectionist of I got arrogance. He's got all the things that, a lot of people have. So it's not like there's something wrong with him or something like that. Because he has, like everybody, we have good and we have bad. And the bad things, it's up to us, if we think they're bad. It doesn't matter if somebody else thinks they're bad. It matters how we feel about it. How do we feel? How we're affecting others, and how does that affect us? And so anyways, when I was, when we were married, and I went to nursing school. Before that, I was a medical assistant, and I was office manager in a medical place. And so I'd been in medical. And so when you're in medical, you, of course, trust the medical. I mean, it's your job. And so you go with that kind of, I don't know, lifestyle. And so then, and he would never go. He wouldn't go to the doctors. He didn't go to the doctors. He's got deformities. He broke his hand one time. I was punching a wall to make sure I knew how mad he was. Punched a wall and broke, it's called a boxer's fracture, and broke these bones. Because when you hit, it fractures these bones. And so he didn't do anything. And then I think like 2 weeks in, then he said, he needed to go to the urgent care. So I went with him. And I was sitting there and heard the doctor say, well, you should have come sooner, because now the bones have already grown back. They're already growing back broken, like, you have to go in and do a whole surgery and stuff at that point. Go in and re-break the bones and screw them together and stuff. So he didn't, set his bones. He just let them grow back funked. And then he did that again. I don't know how many times he's done that, but I know he did it with his foot really bad. And the kids were constantly telling me about his deformed foot. And this was the first time I had seen it. And since I'd heard some of these stories, it wasn't near as bad as what I was expecting. But he had done something at work and broke his foot, which should have been L&I, all that stuff, because he smoked weed and drank. He wouldn't go to turn it in. He wouldn't go get treatment. And so he just blew it off. And because they would, if you go in for an LNI, they're going to drug treat you. They're going to test your blood and see if you're on drugs or alcohol or whatever. And since he couldn't do anything about it because this was in his bad period of time where he was in such severe alcoholism. Like he has been his challenge for, a big part of his life. And so he's had some really bad different times. It's not just like he had one bad time and it all fixed. No, he had a bunch of different bad times. And so in this one, he went and whatever it was, broke his foot really bad like that, where the bones needed to be reset. And so he got those all deformed. So, he's got severe stuff that, from him not taking better care of himself for all this time. But he's always been somebody who was very much about eating natural foods and stuff like that. That was something like he would harass me about, like if I would get boxed food and stuff. And I grew up with, astronaut food and, minute rice and crap like that. And he is a gardener, so he's like, no, get food right out of the garden and eat it. So he has that good part about him, and he's very attached to nature and growing and stuff like that, but he has no attachment to spirit. So like he's got, that's what everybody has, like these things that are, to me, very separate. How do you be so connected to nature and growing, but you don't believe you have a soul? Like, how do you not understand what this place is like or about or whatever? So that always trips me out. But he honestly is that way. I mean, he's not pretending. And so anyways, he would never go to the doctors or dentist and stuff. I think the whole time we were married, he probably went to the dentist a couple times in 15 years. He just was, so he, now he went, something happened. I don't remember what it was. And when they checked his blood pressure, it was like 220 over 150. Well, his mom had several strokes because she had such high blood pressure. And she did not eat well at all. Like she would make a sandwich with bacon and then she'd she'd toast the bread, pour the bacon grease on the bread, put the bacon and then put mayonnaise. So she was, there was a reason why. Like you can be prone to something, but also there's lifestyle choices. And so she was, she's given herself arterial sclerosis. She's got so much fat and stuff in her blood and hardening her arteries, which is another thing too that's trippy, is the blood vessel thing on me. And so anyways, so he was telling me, that he had this big blood pressure event thing. And so now he's like on meds and he's saying this stuff like, I finally crossed over. I'm finally going to the doctors. I have a regular doctor now and I really like him. I've got a prescription, and he's, in his perspective, he's into this new badge of honor, where he's taking responsibility for himself and he's actually going to the doctor and whatnot. And now I have moved out of that as see that is like you're turning your trust over to people who are out to harm you. And so to me, it's like I've moved out of that space and I've moved into the space of realizing about the food that we put in our mouths is super important. All the things, herbs, everything, and the natural stuff that grows. And I mean, there's just so much. And so then, to me, it is, like I've moved out of that. I've moved into a different thing. And so when he was saying that stuff, where he's feeling good about himself, and I was like, well, there's lots of herbs and stuff that can lower your blood pressure. And you just got to look into different foods and stuff, because there's all sorts of ones that will. I said, you just got to watch out, because you'll start getting side effects from that one. Then they'll put you on another one for that. And then you'll get side effects from that. And they'll put you on another one from that. And then pretty soon you're going to be, sick as shit. And you find yourself on 18 of them. And I said, and that is when I started saying, what's also trippy is, when I was younger, I had giant veins. Just had giant veins. I had like this scrawny. I'm not a very muscly person, and it takes a lot to even work and get a muscle on me. Swear to God. And but I was always like, I don't know. Now that I know so much about the DNA and stuff, I think I'm a mix between a mantis and a gray or something. But so I had, but I had these big veins that would stick out. And I always would be kind of embarrassed when I was younger because I had these hands that looked like worker hands and did not have sweet, gentle lady hands. And I had these big bulging veins in my scrawny, flailing long arms. And so when I started getting sick, and I don't remember when it was I noticed, because I know there was a few different times when they would try and take blood where there started being issues. And I'd be like, well, that's weird. And they'd just be like, oh, well, you're probably dehydrated, when you have to go in and you haven't drank and stuff like that. And so I was like, okay. So you kind of blow it off. But then it started being a point where I was like, okay, I don't even see my veins. And at this point, I had to go in, try and get some IVs and stuff. And it's like, my veins are fucking disappearing. They're drying up or something. Something's going on. And this is when I was on all the meds. And so I went off of them, and it's been years and years. And so now, see, because when did I go off? I would think it was around 2016 or I think it was around 2016, maybe 2015, but when I went off all of the meds. Yeah, I'm sure, because my awakening is it's like it's like an onion peel. It's like, okay, in that peel, what happened? Okay, in that peel, what happened? Okay, so in the part where I went off of all the meds and stuff, it's been several years. It always kind of trips me out, is because how much time has passed now that I've been here by myself in this house. And but all of a sudden, over the past, I think over the past year, I've started noticing my veins have come back. They're huge again. They're big. They're all over the place, and they're plump. So it was like the things that I think the chemicals were destroying, now they're restoring. But, it's still, it's for all of this stuff that I do, I think I would just feel excellent all the time. And I can still get like the past couple days, I don't know what these weird jolts of pain through my body. And I know that I know how nerves and nerve endings and stuff work. And I know that, that they're attacking certain things and, sheens and stuff like that of nerve endings. And that, that's why we've got these people, so many people with autoimmune diseases, so many people with MS. I mean, for the amount of people who have MS and autism and cancer, it's like, come on, people. Everybody needs to wake up and see what the fuck is going on. And stop thinking like there's just something wrong with them. I saw now Christina Applegate going around with what are those things called? Not a crutch, a cane. And her cane says something like FUMS or something like that on it. And so, I don't know. To me, some of this stuff that you see with some of the celebrity people, it's like, man, did they have extra testing on them? Or is it just, the numbers are this high in just our general population of how many people are getting so many of these different diseases? I just know, like, when you have these diseases, so like, okay, when I'm doing the thing for straightening my spine, is a big component to all the things that you do. Is so like when you're straightening something, or you're doing deep breaths, or you're trying to release, you're moving your kundalini, all of these different things, you need to ask to be shown what it is that you're holding on to, what it is you need to release, what it is that needs to be let go of. And then you have to be open and to what comes to you. And if you don't understand it, then you need to ask for clarity. And it is I'm telling you, there's sometimes when I'll see like there's a communication going on, and there'll be something, and I'll be like, in my mind, I'm always talking with telepathy usually. I mean, I will talk out loud, but I'll be like, what are you trying to tell me or something? And it can take several things, of being shown, like a song could come on, a number, like one thing that the 144, 411, 144, like 4114, like the ones in the fours, and then the triple digits, and then the counting up and down is crazy for me. Like, it's so crazy. I was constantly 10 10, 11 11, 12 12, 1 2 3 4, 4 4 4, 3 3 3, 2 2 2, 1 1 1. It's just like, oh my gosh. She's on the move. She's very stiff though. And she keeps doing this weird shaking her head and kind of like crying, like something is bothering her. And I know they attack neurologically. And it's just, man, and that could be why she's refusing to eat this, because I did put some diatomaceous earth on it. But anyways, it's really important, no matter what it is, to be aware that when you're trying to, raise your kundalini and stuff, the things that are holding it down are the things that are going to be released. You're going to be things you have to process. You have to see it. And I just said, I don't know. I just think it's weird how many people just think you just do the things, the part of it, like just raise your kundalini and then you're spiritual. What? To raise your kundalini, you have to release what is holding it, what is blocking it. You got to release the stagnation. The reason it is blocked is because you're holding on to things and trauma and pain and stuff, and you hold on to them too much. They become disease, and you become sick with the disease because you're not listening to your body. And your body is not moving its energy, but there's so much with the distractions and stuff, because that's, what they do in this world. So all of those things, people will, approach them. They'll approach a lot of the things differently, when they know, when they have awareness. And one of the things too, like, I have a bunch of things coming in there. Like, there's a bunch of stuff, that weird stuff at the border, like weird stuff. Like, well, okay, there's definitely something going on down there. And whether it's what it is, is that there's supposedly there's some big volcano, and that is one thing that they are trying to get people out of Mexico, because this big volcano is going to go off or something. And so, and that is, in different places, they are doing these, like, like a soft evacuation, as to me, as to not create panic and stuff. So there is these evacuation things happening around where, they're not just saying, hey, there's a mass volcano, telling us things. And so there's another big earthquake. I think there's been two, and the tsunami warning, which I don't know if there ended up being a tsunami. The one guy who's really watching the time traveler stuff, he said there was a bunch of stuff that happened yesterday. He is, he's just diving in for everything. And he said there was a bunch of big stuff that happened yesterday. The stuff that he was saying, it wasn't an obvious link or whatever to the banking stuff, but I've seen some other videos where it's like, okay, so this could be those kind of banking things. So this could be this weekend. I mean, it could be later this afternoon that, we get told to stay in our houses or whatever, or maybe that won't even be a part of it. Maybe it will be, people get up and go to work on Monday and things just won't open, but and it will just cause confusion, and people will just start going home and making calls and stuff. Who knows? I think that they want it to go down in the most gentle way, and then when there starts being disruptions and the society becomes uneasy, starts getting mad or angry, and that's when they start telling us that we have to go home and turn on your TV. And, I mean, we don't know for sure how it's going to go down. We just have a lot of speculation over what's going to go down. But it very well could be this weekend that there is stuff, and it is more things with the other nations pushing, because it's like you have the good guys and the bad guys, and here where we have the illusion of the bad guys. So the illusion of the bad guys through Joe also gives the illusion to the other bad guys, so that they can get those guys to come out of the woodwork more. And so but it is like the good guys are pushing the bad guys to have to make a move. And so, and just the whole narrative, with Joe and the stuff that they're covering up of what's going down with the banks. There's another one that was sold. There's another one this. And then you've got the people from the other ones that are saying that they're not going to take the dollar anymore. There's another one now that is saying that the dollar is gone for them. So see, to even be able to go there or to buy their money, you'd have to find another place. Like my daughter just went to Mexico. There's still something going on with there, because it's going down more. So I don't know what our contract, I don't know what our deal is with Mexico on this whole money thing. And so they're going, I think they're at 17, the few days ago it was 17 pesos. When my daughter was there, it was 18. A little before that, it was 26. So I don't know if there's just going to keep going down slowly or what. But so it would be if there was another country like that still took the dollar. And so you would have to go buy pesos with the dollar, take that big reduction. Then you'd have to take your pesos and you'd have to go and buy like rubles or whatever. I don't know what all money now, but it is going to go into that rainbow currency where it would be like the whole world is on this one money, but those poor Americans are just sitting back there with no money at all under their government's thumb. But the people have to wake up to it to see it, so that they can be outraged and go, hey, wait a minute, what the fuck is going on here? And they're just, so busy that they don't pay any attention. And then they're so distracted. I mean, Jesus Christ, I just saw a news clip, and they're just, that monkey, that pot, we got serious problems this summer. And then go straight into, we got to worry about, because of gay pride, that is going to make the monkey stuff. I don't even know. The stuff that they start saying is just so, it's just like, we're going to say a bunch of just nonsense and weird words to try and get you guys scared, because if we sound like we know what we're talking about, it's going to scare you. And that is all they want to do. I just saw this news lady. She quit being one, but she said that they would write you up all the time. Like, you had to have your hair be a certain way. Like, it's just robot people reading scripts. And what was that one too, where they were saying all the local news? Oh, because this is another news guy who has quit, and he said that all of the news, the small local news, all gets their scripts and stuff from CNN. CNN sends the footage of stuff they're supposed to talk about, and the scripts of what they're supposed to say. So they're all scripted. They go in and just do and say what they want. They just want a job that they get to sit and be like, oh, you're the newscaster. Oh, you're so pretty. It's just like an attention thing. And then to just be like mindless. I'm just going to sit here and read a script and act like I'm important and know what the fuck I'm talking about. And then how much of the footage, we've seen where all these people, they're all just say the same damn things. They're not even original. And so it's just, I don't know, the whole thing is so absurd. But it's all the different people that have to realize that for themselves. And so the money thing, like, I don't know how long they can stretch this out, drag it out over here. I'm definitely hoping it's this weekend that it finally goes. And I don't remember where, because I swear to God, it's already like Russia, Saudi Arabia, Africa, like all these big places are saying that the dollar doesn't exist to them. Like our money has no value. And then the whole thing with the petrol, that is switched now with how the oil and the money. And so, I all of this stuff though is just to make Joe look stupider and stupider, and that seems to be what they're doing on the news is and then we don't know who, if certain people now have taken over the news. Like I had heard the reason why Trump went on to that whole CNN thing is because the White House owns CNN now. And so, but there still is going to be these games being played. So I don't know if, but they're definitely, saying Joe looks like a fool now, but that is all part of the narrative that had to come out. And so if they do have control over the news stations, and the news stations are just doing their regular BS, but then also add in, the stupidity of Joe every day. And then and one thing too with Kamala, like she says weird stuff. And some of the stuff she says is like if she was going out and talking spiritually, some of the stuff she could say on that kind of level, like I think it would be more understood or something. And I was like, that is weird. Like, why would they have her say some of the stuff that seems like it's kind of deep, but then it's, I don't know. I don't know what, because they're trying to show something with all these people. They're trying to get us to see something about them so that we have this, it's a perspective or something. And so, and the Joe, destroying his legacy, making him look so stupid. Like they make him look like such a egomaniac, idiotic, selfish. Like he just looks like such an ass. But that's what I'm saying is I'm not sure about Kamala, but I saw this footage of this weird thing that she says. Apparently, she says it all the time. Like this footage showed her say this. I wish I could remember what it was. It was like the reason I say like spiritual, because they talk in a weird way, and some of the things that will sound weird like this. It's like the power to be is the power that you find to be the power, or something like that, something where nobody knows what the fuck she's talking about, but then she goes and says it all the time. And so that's what I'm saying. If it was in a different conversation, or she was talking in this other way, it seems like it would make more sense. But then when she goes and she says it, it's like set out of context, or it doesn't make any sense, or people aren't on her vibe, because nobody knows what the fuck she's talking about, but she says it so much. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the footage. It was like all these different places, all these different outfits, and this same weird thing. It's like there's got to be a reason for that, especially because, it's somebody in a mask. So they're doing it or saying it for some weird reason. And some of the things that I have seen like that, for instance, is like, is this kind of like the soft open to or galactic families out there of to say these certain things to where people are like, what? And then that it's going to be coming in, but it's like this to start opening our minds to certain ways of thinking. Because to me, they do that kind of stuff all the time, is to try and like get you to see something you didn't see, get you to think about something you didn't think about, or understand something you didn't understand. It's just all about seeing more, looking at things in a broader perspective. And I don't know, there's something weird about it. So I just saw that yesterday, this video of, and then plus when she had said it, I was like, well, it's not that weird. I get it. But then I can get why nobody else can get it. Like, why people keep thinking it's so strange. Like, what the fuck is she talking about? And because, she's out there trying to do a political talk about, making things better. The way you're saying it is weird. And so, anyways, I don't know. We're going to see more and more. We're going to see more and more being exposed over who's in what mask. Hopefully that's soon. Like, I wish that they would start, exposing more about Joe in the mask. So I don't know. I don't know how this is all going to play out. Certainly, they're not going to just go the whole way and show like Joe's trials. Maybe they'll show the old Joe's trials. Like, I don't know, because to be real and to be honest and to be authentic, they got to show that these people are in masks. Otherwise, they're just tricking people. So, and we're moving out of the trickery. We're moving into this is real. This is what's real. This is what you need to process. This is what you need to understand. Because otherwise, you're just not really expanding. You're not really growing or learning. You're just, playing. You're moving the spaces on the game. You're not really, going on to the space where you can really expand and grow. But anyways, it's going to be pushed hard now, for people to just grow and expand. And it's going to just be being pushed on people nonstop. And I see so many more people now talking about the event. And it's just so funny because that was the first thing that I really started talking about to people. And it was like 2015 or something. And that was why my kids are like, oh my God, you've been talking about this so long. I'm like, geez, yeah, it's getting a little close to 10 years now. But but then I had to stop. When Allison Coe, when she had done that whole thing about the dates and everybody was on the edge of their seat, who was watching it, some people didn't even know. And then the date, it didn't happen. And then there's something, I don't know her name for sure, but she would talk about a lot, and she would say she had gone through these things. She can see the energy when it's coming in and stuff. And so there was a lot of stuff of what she was talking about around then, but Allison was getting so bashed that she stopped recording for a while. And so, it just wasn't, and my family all, just thought I was wacky. Oh, okay, where's the big solar flash? And I was just like, it's going to come. It's coming. I'm telling you, it's going to come. I mean, it's written in all of these different prophecies. I mean, the Hopi, the Sumerian, it's coming. And, but then as your healing and all your stuff keeps going, you can't just sit and focus on that. That's what I'm saying, is how many people awaken and then just stay stuck on the one thing that fucked them up in the beginning. Like, for me, I would have just stayed stuck on the event, just keep going through it, looking it up, finding more people talking about it, but I'll just release. And then I don't know if the part of why I can release things and just move on to the next thing and just keep going is the brain injury. Because I know before the brain injury, I was just as, anal as anybody else could be. I was a part of the rat race, uptight, perfect, everything had to be so perfect. And I was different. But now, now it is just like, but I see so many people talking about it. And I feel like it is definitely getting closer. We've got people who are talking now. It reminds me of like back when Allison was talking about, and we were getting so close, and it was, people are acting like it's like minutes, maybe weeks, maybe months, but it's very, very close. And I don't know, I don't know how it's going to go down. I know we're going to have it. I know it's part of the reset. I know it's part of what is going to happen on the planet. And so I don't know, to me, it still is like this banking thing, this war thing, like all of the stuff of the ending of the control. in the awakening to this fake world. That has to go. And that energy is what creates the Big Bang, the solar event. That's what I think. So anyways, we just got to see how it goes. But, if what I'm saying is right, then we know we've got a few months, because we still have to go through the part where everybody wakes up and is outraged and all these people die all of a sudden. And, so we still have that part to go through. I don't think it's the solar flash that does that, but there's a lot of people who do. There's a lot of people who think, that that's like the rapture, the solar flash. But to me, there's way too many people who aren't awake yet, and everybody has to get woke up. And I think that is what the white hats or the good guys are trying to do. Is like the bad guys are trying to have us go down with the ship, and the other ones are trying to evacuate without creating panic, move people into safe zones, and get people ready for what is to come without panicking people, because people are so lost. I mean, Jesus Christ, they panic over a fluke. Can you imagine when they find out that the sun is going to blast out, and they think the sun is fire and heat and stuff? They don't understand plasma. They think it's space. They think we're out there spinning around. They think the sun's way far. The sun being way far is such a ridiculous. I sit out there on my patio, and the trees, they're a couple 100 feet tall, I guess. I don't know. Seems like I was trying to figure it out when I was trying to figure out their age and stuff. They're tall, but the sun, if the sun was really far away, the sun would not be hidden by the trees. Like, the sun can't get over the trees at my house. And so it's not ever above me. It's always to the side of me. And I've said this for years now. And so, and another thing too, I'll say it before I go, is, man, it's so windy, is before, where I was saying across the street, everything looked dead. Even last summer, like, all my trees were so dead. All the needles and everything was so dead. And all of a sudden, and it was like after one of those whiteouts, it was after one of those things where people said we just jumped timelines. All of a sudden, everything is so fucking green. And like, I was sitting on my patio yesterday, and I was looking out. I was like, man, this is trippy, because I can't see through the trees. And last year I could see right through the trees. And this year there's so much more fuller. And then across the, on the side of the mountain, it is so green and lush looking. And, now I'm like, okay, so those were all just dead trees from winter. And I did cut down one of my dead trees, and I've got several still that are completely, there's no, nothing on their branches. So, and I have tons of the trees that still have all the white rings. Like, when I go and walk around, because I keep paying attention to the trees, like in the neighborhood, because that would be the same as up on the hill, is how many trees, like, is it every 10, one out of every 10, is it one out of every 4? But now it is kind of like, okay, now it's like, okay, we got to see where this goes, because it seems like they're doing better. It seems like they're healing. And is that the energy that is changing? That I don't know. I don't know. All I with my eyes, what I see is that the trees are being more full than last year, which is just, you would expect them. They were dying last year. You would expect it would be way worse this year, but it seems like it's going the other direction. And so I don't know. Just gotta wait and see, as I had seen before, where that one person out of a QHHT thing was talking about how the reset is like they're gonna redo the stage, and they're kind of like picking up on what we're putting out of what it is we desire. And weird, because that was months ago when I was saying that, but I just saw somebody yesterday talking about it, but it was like a person who is channeling like the galactic. There's so many people channeling so many different people now, but that they said that it was going to be whatever it was I just said. They're resetting, they're resetting the planet. It was like the same kind of thing, only it was through a different source. And that is what I'm always paying attention to, is where do you get the same information, only it's from totally different sources. And that doesn't still make it automatically true. It just makes it where it's like a flag to me. It's like I put a little one of those little red flag things on it, like I'm gonna pay attention to that. And so anyways, that to me is, don't get stuck. That is where so many people get stuck on what scares them and just keeps going over and over and over. So you don't want to get stuck. You want to just keep moving, because there's a lot to go through. It's like going to Disneyland, going on the first ride and just keep going on the same ride over and over and over. You got a lot of rides to go, a lot of experiences, a lot of things to understand and see. So that's what the awakening is all about. It's about awakening, not just, going into the first thing and just getting stuck there. So that there's going to be so much more of that. But I understand one of the big things too that is going to be hard for people is how much people go around in this world thinking that nobody's paying attention, nobody's watching them. They can do this, they can do that, nobody's watching. And when they find out that, yeah, you've got an audience all the time, you've got watchers and all of that, because it isn't, to me, it is the shame. It is people do things that they don't want people to see. And then all of a sudden they think that there's somebody who's watching them do all these things. And so it's a lot of shame and stuff to process. But that's going to be a part of the whole thing, is realizing. And to me, it is a good thing to just keep on your mind all the time, is that you have people watching you. To me, it's like impossible not to be aware of that. And but it's gonna be, just watch and see how people react when they start realizing that they're being watched all the time, that they've never been alone, and every single thing they've ever done has been witnessed. And not even just witnessed by the group, but witnessed by your higher self, your more advanced self, the self of you that thinks is so judgmental, your parent self, your God self, the self of you that's over you. That's the part I think is, you feel yourself looking down on you. That's the thing that's hard, is that's what people just don't realize, is the shame and humility that people feel is so deep inside of you, because it is you looking down on you. It isn't come from where people think, oh, I think if there was a God outside of people that were really out there judging us, that we would just become rebellious against it. We'd be like, oh, fuck you then. You don't like that? Fuck you. And we would get over it. But when the judgment is coming from within you, on you, you can't get away from it. And, that, and a lot of people think that's God's judgment, but it's just your more higher advanced self. It's just the self of you that has already gone through this, and they're judging you so you can understand. It isn't like they're judging you, they're allowing you to judge yourself so you can understand, and so you can see, so that you can understand yourself. It's all about understanding yourself. It's all about when you do understand yourself, the growth, the expansion. That's what everything is about. You got to think about your energy. What does energy want to do? Energy wants to become bigger energy. Energy wants to expand. And so that is what, you're in this avatar, which is the confusion, where you start thinking, oh, I'm flesh and blood. I'm this, I'm that. No, you're just energy, and this is the vehicle that you're using to go into an experience. And so the energy that you are is in the experience for the expansion. And so that is what, it's not expanding the avatar, it's expanding the energy that's driving the avatar. So anyways, that's what life's all about, is that part of you. And it is when people play on the surface and think that the flesh and blood and just stay in that arena. That is, well, they'll learn in their own time, and they could very well just be here playing a part for somebody else. So, I just think we ought to just let go of so much judgment on how other people interact and react in the world, and just focus on ourselves. And the more we focus on ourselves, the better we become, and the better the world becomes. Because when we're all focused on ourselves and not focused on trying to change others, because when we do focus on trying to change others, that does create a rebellion, just like we would be to, hey, fuck you, God. You don't think I'm good enough for you? That's what people do in relationships and everything. You don't think I'm good enough for you? Well, fuck you. And, is instead of just loving yourself and being like, ugh, you don't see my value. You're blind. I'm out of here. But, we instead will stay and try and force them. You got to see. Look at everything I do. Look what I do. Look how great I am. And you can't see it. You know what I mean? So we just have toxic ways of interacting that we got to just release. And it just all stems back to, if you can love yourself, then you don't give a shit. You're not going to go sit and argue with somebody about something, because your value, your time, everything is more valuable than to waste it on something, trying to convince somebody of something that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what somebody else thinks about something. It just doesn't. And anyways, I've been talking a long time, and I feel like I just will just keep saying it and saying it. I think I've made the point of what it was I was trying to make. So anyways, I'm just still gonna keep my fingers crossed that today is the end of all of the banking system here. And it will be for sure when that goes down. It's gonna be. There's not going to be a way for people to get paid. There's not going to be a way to make purchases. It's going to be just like what we've seen that has happened in other countries. When this has happened, it's going to be a violent, chaotic, and depending on, how long it drags out. Like, I don't know how it's going to go down, but we know how people react, and we know what's going to happen. And it's best to stay away from people who are losing their damn minds. So anyways, stay away from people losing their damn minds. Stay safe. And let's just hope that we're at the end of this business. So I will talk to you later.